you were going to be hurt in any way?
I feel like I could have, yes ma'am, if it would have gotten that.
And did you think the truck was going to follow you?
Once they rolled the red light and then stopped immediately after, I thought there might be a possibility, yes ma'am.
Still with us, we have attorney Kirk Nurmi. Kirk, first let me start with this. That was the girlfriend, Emma. She was in the vehicle with the defendant. As you listened to her, how did you find her demeanor and how she was doing having to testify about this event?
You know, obviously it was difficult. It was a position she didn't want to be in, and obviously the witness stand is a place where a lot of people come back to the trauma they experienced related to the event they're testifying to. But, you know, I thought she did well. She was composed. I thought she came across as sincere, and I think her testimony is going to be very helpful to Mr. Wilson when they get to trial.
I know at one point I noticed her hand was shaking when she picked something up, and to your point, especially when you've gone through a traumatic event, it can be really tough to be on that witness stand for anyone. Let's look together, because part of what the defense has argued in this case, Kirk, is that perhaps motive was mistaken identity, and they say that's because Emma, the girlfriend that we just watched testify with the long blonde hair, that they mistook her for Mary Jane. Mary Jane is on the other side of your screen, and Mary Jane they had seen at a gas station with a male who's also described as biracial. Now remember, the defendant in this case, Mark Wilson, is described as biracial, and so part of what they're putting forward is it was mistaken identity. They thought that's who it was when they were doing this. That might describe the motive from the defense's perspective. How important is that piece, do you think, to the overall case for the defense?
You know, I don't think it's quite as important, because either way, you know, ultimately the girl that was in the car with Mr. Wilson is going to have her perspective, but ultimately the one who's on trial is Mr. Wilson. So his fear, his reasonable apprehension of physical injury or death is really what's at matter here. So the mistaken identity doesn't really, to me, make much difference, because it's going to be the actions that they took, regardless of whether the intended target was someone different or not, the actions they took while driving, swerving, what have you. And that's what we heard Mr. Wilson's girlfriend testify to. And I think that's really going to be the part of the case that's ultimately dispositive to this jury.
And I also had one other question about the forensics aspect that we were discussing a little bit earlier. We know that the bullet hit the victim in this case in the back of her head. She was seated in the back of the truck in the middle. But we also know that the girlfriend testified, the defendant's girlfriend Emma testified, and there you see Haley Hutchison, the victim, in the back seat middle. She testified that her boyfriend, Mark Wilson, the defendant in this case, didn't mean to shoot anyone, that he was shooting at the back or the ground and didn't mean to shoot anyone. So I guess my question in that regard, Kirk, is it a contradiction for a defendant to say it was self-defense, and on the other hand say, but I didn't mean to shoot anyone, I was shooting at the ground?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, you know, if you're saying self-defense, really ultimately what a defendant has to do is stand there and explain why they took the actions they did. We think about the Reeves case, whether we agree with the verdict or not. Mr. Reeves got up on the stand and said, this is why I took the action I did, and knowing full well what they were intending to do. In this case, as you point out, Mr. Wilson's girlfriend, anyway, is deviating that from a little bit and saying, well, he didn't mean this. He meant to shoot somewhere else. Of course, we haven't heard from Mr. Wilson in that regard, and I think ultimately, if he does testify, he's going to have to offer his perception of what he was shooting at, because again, her experience of the event doesn't have to be his in terms of what was heard, etc. So ultimately, that goes back to what we said earlier about the need to testify. He has to stand, in my opinion, sit on that stand and say why he felt like his life was in jeopardy and why he shot the gun.
Right. Was he in reasonable fear of his life from his perspective? Great thoughts, Kirk. We're going to continue to follow the developments in the Marcus Wilson case, but after the break, we will turn to the not guilty verdict in the Brett Hankison trial.